Hello.
Hello.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Adam.
Welcome to I Love You But, where we talk about common relationship issues.
Our advice on how to deal.
While we drink wine.
We're drinking some wine.
So tonight, I Love You But, we need to talk about losing your job.
Dear God, no!
Yeah, man. Recently, we had a scare, and one of us almost lost our job.
Was it you?
No.
It wasn't me? Must have been me.
And it wasn't even like, oh, you're gonna lose your job forever. It was just for 2 weeks. So we had to sit down and be like, shit.
It was like doomsday prepping. All right, what are we gonna do when the zombies actually overturn, when they're at the front door? All right, what's our plan? Okay, things are dark, all right? Everybody else is dead. Okay, what are we gonna do?
Exactly like that.
It was super like that.
So I think our first thoughts, if I can speak for us both,
You may.
was shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit. Just like that. After we got over that, we were like, okay, what are we actually gonna do? So we kind of had to come up with a plan of okay, well, if this happens, what are we gonna do?
Well, the first thing you have to do is stay calm, as much as that sucks to do. You're freaking out. You're like, whoa. I always laugh when I get nervous or scared about stuff.
Nervous or scared? Goodness.
I always laugh.
Lose your language skills?
No, it's not because I'm nervous or scared right now. It's just because I like the wine. And so once I was done laughing, it occurred to both of us that we need to stay calm so that we can figure out the logistics of the whole situation, because everything falls apart, or at least it gets way worse than it needs to be, if you can't stay calm and handle the logistics without reacting emotionally. You just have to figure out the brass tacks of it and make sure that everything's gonna be okay, even if you're just gonna barely scrape by on this plan that you're making.
Yeah, you need to have a conversation of okay, logically, what are the steps? And you need to take out the anger, the fear, the frustration, and just be like, okay, this, and this need to happen for us to continue.
Survive.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that we've learned from this is that we should always be prepared. You should always have a plan. You should always have an emergency fund of 1 to 6 months rent, utilities, food, necessities saved up. And I know that that's really hard to get to, and we kind of talked about it in one of our financial episodes, but it is super important because it could literally happen at any time. So building up that cushion is really essential.
And if it's not within your means to get 6 months of rent and food, finances, grocery money, that's what it's called. If it's not within your means to get 6 months of rent and grocery money and the all together in one spot, I relate to that. You still gotta have a backup plan, a worst case scenario. If you can't work at A, you gotta find a way to work at B. And fortunately, there are really easy ways to find a job very quickly. The Lyft. The Lyft.
The Uber. Yeah, you could walk dogs. I used to babysit when I was a teenager. I could go babysit. And not saying that people who do these jobs full time, you could also lose that job.
Totally.
So then what is your backup? If you're a nanny full time and you lose your job, okay, well, maybe you could babysit a little bit. Maybe you could do Postmates or Instacart or something like that. There are so many options now that you should still be able to be okay.
Maybe call up your parents and go, hey, remember that company I wasn't gonna join?
Yep.
Can I join it for a little while?
Yeah, would you say it like that?
Yeah. Keep climbing.
Yeah, they would definitely hire you. So have a worst case scenario option.
So once you kind of have a handle on the logistics of the situation, good or bad, plan A, plan B, who cares? Acknowledge that you are about to put a lot of stress on your partner. Whether you're driving for Uber or living off of 6 months of finance, you're entering a stressful time, and that's that. They're gonna want to know what you've applied to and where you're trying to seek work, and they're gonna want to help, and you're gonna feel bad about things, and it's gonna feel bad and weird for a little while.
If you share financial responsibilities, then yes, it's going to feel very weird. And I will say the people that we're talking to, we assume are kind of like us, where we do split financial responsibility. It's oh, you can't pay half the rent? Oh, dang,
Mm-hmm.
that's a problem. If you do have a partner who is able to take care of things if you don't have a job, that's great. Like, that is so wonderful. But you also need to have the conversation with that partner and say, okay, well, how long can you support me?
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean? Like, is it just rent and groceries? Is it also shopping and vacations? Like, what exactly does it mean? And maybe you don't put it down on paper, maybe you do, but I would find it helpful to actually write it down and be like, so this covers this and it doesn't cover this.
Totally.
Just to be super transparent with your partner, so you're not just like, oh, does this, is this all the time.
If you are fortunate enough to have a partner who can sustain both of your lives right now,
Working on it.
have that conversation soon.
Before you get to the point where you might lose your job.
Exactly. And that is your backup plan. Like, you can talk the logistics with them and what kind of life the two of you end up leading kind of during that time on your partner's means.
Mm-hmm.
You know, get rid of as many question marks as you can long before the problem comes up, because everything's going to feel strained once the problem comes up. It's a horrible feeling. Horrible feeling.
So take a few moments in the next week or two and talk to your partner about what it would mean if one of you lost your job. Like, even if you are not close to that, even if that's not remotely a possibility, talk about it anyway. It's never a bad idea to have a backup plan.
And if you're anything like me and you've heard the 6 months thing over and over again, you gotta have 6 months of your expenses in a savings account at all times, and you always took that for granted thinking the day's never gonna come, keep putting it off. See where that gets you. 'Cause
Or
it's scary.
don't keep putting it off and start saving for it now.
That's what I'm saying.
Cool.
That's what I'm actually saying.
Just wanted to be clear. This has been I Love You, but we need to talk about losing your job.
Losing your job.
Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends.
Ask us any questions if you have them. We'd love to get back to you on anything and everything that you're wondering about with you and your partner, or just you, or just your partner. And have a beautiful rest of your evening.